relaxation.
Now the Philistines gathered their armies together to battle, and were gathered at Soko, which belongs to Judah. They encamped between Soko and Azekah in Ephes Dam. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together, and they encamped in the valley of Elah and drew up in battle array against the Philistines. The Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side with a valley between them. And a champion went out from the camp of the Philistine named Goliath from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. And he had a bronze armour on his legs, and a bronze javelin between his shoulders. Now the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his iron search weighed 600 shekels, and a shield bearer went before him. Then he stood and cried out the armies of Israel, and said to them, Why have you come out to line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And you, the servants of Saul, choose a man for yourself, and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard these words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid.
David was the son of Jesse, who was an Ephraimite from Bethlehem in Judea. Jesse had 8 sons, and at the same time Saul was king, he was already a very old man. His 3 eldest sons had gone with Saul to war. The eldest son was Eliab, and next was Abinadab, and the third was Shammah. David was the youngest son, and while the 3 eldest brothers stayed with Saul, David would go back to Bethlehem from time to time to take care of his father's sheep. Goliath challenged the Israelites every morning and every evening for 40 days. One day Jesse said to David, Take 10 kilograms of this roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread, and hurry with them to your brothers in the camp. And find out how your brothers are getting on, and bring back something to show that you saw them and that they are well. King Saul, your brother, and all the other Israelites are in the valley of Elah fighting the Philistines. David got up early the next morning, left someone else in charge of the sheep, took the food, and went as Jesse had told him to. He arrived at the camp just as the Israelites were going out to their battle line, shouting the war cry. The Philistines and the Israelite armies took up positions for battle, facing each other. David left the food with the officer in charge of the supplies, ran to the battle line, went to his brothers and asked how they were getting on. As he was talking to them, Goliath came forward and challenged the Israelites as he had done before, and David heard him.
To me?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And all of the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have you seen this man is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up, and it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and take away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that you should defy the armies of the living God? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard what he spoke unto the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and he said, Why camest thou down hither, and with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride, and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. And David said, What have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him towards another, and spoke after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spoke, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, Thou art not able to go against this Philistine, to fight him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock.
Diane?
I have killed lambs and bears, and I will do the same to this heathen Philistine, who has defied the army of the living God. The Lord has saved me from lions and bears. He will save me from this Philistine. All right, Saul answered. Go, and the Lord will be with you. He gave his own armour to David for him to wear, and a bronze helmet which he put on David's head, and a coat of armour. David strapped Saul's sword over the armour and tried to walk, but he couldn't because he wasn't used to wearing them. I can't fight with all these, he said to Saul. I'm not used to it. So he took it all off, and he took his shepherd's stick and then picked up 5 smooth stones from the stream and put them in his bag with his catapult. Ready he went to meet the Goliath. The Philistine started walking towards David with his shield bearer walking in front of him. He kept coming closer.
And when he got a good look at David, he was filled with scorn for him, because he was just a nice, good-looking boy. He said to David, What's that stick for? Do you think I'm a dog? And he called down curses from his God on David. Come on, he challenged David, and I will give your body to the birds and animals to eat. David answered, You are coming against me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the Israelites' armies, which you have defied. The very day the Lord will put you in my power, I will defeat you and cut off your head, and I will give the bodies of the Philistine soldiers to the birds and animals to eat. Then the whole world will know that Israel has a God, and everyone here will see that the Lord does not need swords or spears to save his people. He is victorious in battle, and he will put all of you in our power. Goliath started walking towards David again, and David ran quickly towards the Philistines' battle line to fight him.
He put his hand into his bag and took out a stone, which he slung at Goliath. It hit him on the forehead and broke his skull, and Goliath fell face downwards on the ground. And so, without a sword, David defeated and killed Goliath with a sling and a stone. He ran to him, stood over him, took Goliath's sword out of its sheath, and cut off his head and killed him. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they ran away. The men of Israel and Judah shouted and ran after them, pursuing them all the way to Gath and to the gates of Ekron. The Philistines fell wounded all along the road that leads to Sharon, as far as Gath and Ekron. When the Israelites came back from pursuing the Philistines, they looted their camp. David picked up Goliath's head and took it to Jerusalem, but he kept Goliath's weapons in his own tent. When Saul saw David going out to fight Goliath, he asked Abner, the commander of his army, "Abner, whose son is he?" "I have no idea, your majesty," Abner answered. "Then go and find out," Saul ordered. So when David returned to camp after killing Goliath, Abner took him to Saul. David was still carrying Goliath's head. Saul asked him, "Young man, whose son are you?" "I am the son of your servant Jesse from Bethlehem," David answered.
Thank you.